What's up, my fellow lionesses and lions? Welcome to the Project Lioness podcast, where we are here to disrupt the mainstream narrative when it comes to health, holism, and human consciousness. We are here to share bold truths about health and life from a female perspective. This episode is brought to you by our team, Inspire Co., where we stand for your health being inspired by choice rather than being inhibited by chance. Thank you for being here and joining in on these raw, real, and powerful conversations. We hope our show brings you inspiration and empowerment to overcome challenges, reclaim your life, and ultimately pursue your mission with power, purpose, and play. Now, let's get into the episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Project Lioness podcast. This is your host, Dr. Mel, and today in this episode, I am joined by a fierce lioness herself, Dr. Kim, and she is here to share some bold, raw, real truths, y'all, as we do on this podcast. And before we dive in, I want to share with you a little bit more about this incredible woman. I'm so grateful that she has come more into my life. So as a second-generation chiropractor, Dr. Kim knows the healing power of a chiropractic adjustment. She graduated from Palmer College in 2009 and currently resides in her home state of Nebraska. Shout out Midwest. She is an author, a coach, a speaker, and a CEO of multiple businesses. She is married with 3 beautiful daughters who inspire her to live every day on purpose. She strives to take great care of each patient like she would her own children. And y'all, she's creating some really cool stuff that we're going to share at the end of this podcast. So welcome, Dr. Kim, to the Project Lioness podcast. We're so glad you're here.
Oh, thanks, Mel. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. You know, one of the things that I was really inspired by seeing you speak at different chiropractic conferences over the years is you have no shame in sharing who you are, where you came from, the journey that you've gone through, including your own healing and how that's translated into the people that you serve. So I'd love to just open it up, share with us more about how you got into this work, how you got into this world. I know there's some real raw things that you have experienced as a woman that I think are really important to talk about. So if we want to kick off there and go from there, I'd love to, create the space for you to share that.
Yeah, I mean, how far back you want to go? So I was born while my parents were in undergrad, and then my dad went to chiropractic school. So when I was 3 years old, my dad was a chiropractor. So like we got adjusted when we had the sinus issues. We got adjusted when we had a fever. We got adjusted because it was Tuesday. We didn't really go to the medical doctor until we needed a piece of paper to go to school because we were healthy and we said no thank you to things. So that's just kind of the life I grew up with, and signing that piece of paper didn't really mean too much back then. And then when you're a parent and you do it, it means a little bit different, And so then I went to college. Like I was prom queen. I was cheerleading captain in high school. It's like, whatever, who cares? I signed a piece of paper. And then I go to college and it's like, let's join a sorority and I'm going to bartend a little, and I had fun and it didn't really matter too much. And then in chiropractic school, I was like, okay, I'm here at chiropractic school. My dad's a chiropractor. It's cool. I'm going to be a doctor. It's cool. I'm going to make a lot of money. I like to go shopping. So let's do that, And then in chiropractic school, I got pregnant and the twins lived, we'll just throw it right out there, Mel. The twins lived a half an hour and I held them until their heartbeat stopped. And it totally changed my perspective on the entire globe, on my entire life. I realized, to sum it up, that we are given a limited number of moments on this earth, and some people just coast by, and we cannot do that. I realized that being a chiropractor specifically was not at all about me. It was about using the moments I've been given here on this earth, my divine assignment from above, to make the world a healthier place, and however that comes out. I realized growing up how I grew up, growing up unvaccinated, growing up with chiropractic, second generation chiropractor, it's almost as though I was put in a role that I can't shut up. I have to get louder and louder. And growing up that way, if I can't do that, how can someone who didn't grow up that way do that, And so I started to make random social media videos. Here's my iPhone on a Kleenex box on my desk. Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Kim. Here's what I think today. Have a great day. And that turned into going on stages and that turned into writing books, and when that's not enough, what else do you do? But I really do feel a fire of a passion inside of myself that takes cultivating, sometimes as my own self, sometimes just as space to do so and expand. Sometimes I need to go to a chiropractic conference to fill up my cup, but it's always there. And I really do feel like I'm put on a purpose on this earth. So after the twins, I was really scared when I did go to have more babies with my husband. I was scared to have a baby at home because they didn't make it out of the hospital. So my next one, Kinley, she's 14 now. She was born in a hospital and the cord was around her neck and she was gray and it was scary as shit, Mel, again, because it's like shock all over again, open up the wound a little. And then with the second one, I was busy in practice, seeing 300 a week almost and side posture like crazy. My pelvic floor was mad, so she was breech and I let him cut me open. And so I had a C-section with the second, and she's a little spitfire, and she's 10 now. And, I didn't enjoy being cut open. I didn't enjoy being a patient. I didn't enjoy the recovery. I didn't enjoy any of that. So I thought I was good with two kids until she went to kindergarten. And then I'm like, oh, I'm 39. I've been doing yoga. After the C-section, I had to do something. I could do this again. So we had our third one at home because it was in 2021 and they were going to make me labor in a mask. And I knew, philosophically, physically, mentally, emotionally, I know. So I decided to have the third one at home after a C-section in a pool of water. And, my husband was in the Army. And so never did he once sit me down and say, maybe we shouldn't do that. I didn't realize how risky it was, because there's a risk to everything, but I knew how to do it now. So I felt confident in it. And you have to get over fear sometimes to, make things happen that you want to happen. And so the third one I had at home in a pool and it was the most glorious thing. And after she was born, my husband goes, you fucking did it, Kim. You fucking did it, because he was in the Army. And so he was taught to like keep it all inside until we climbed Mount Everest and everything was great and the baby was great. And then he was like, but it was one of the coolest things I'd ever done, So to battle bravery as a mother and saying no thank you to things that I don't want to give my kids medically, and brave enough to tell a patient, yeah, I raised my prices, and no, I don't take insurance, and yeah, you need to come back 3 times this week. That's brave. And to pop out a baby at home is also brave. So I've realized that when you're on purpose and when you're authentic and every day you have a line in the sand and you have no question of what that line in the sand is, all of your choices then align as long as you're aware enough, consciously that you can choose that or not. And if you change small things every day, your choices can create, habits, which can create actions. And then when you have enough brave actions you're taking, they might not even feel brave. You just get to the point of, wow, I really did that. Like other people call me brave all the time, Mel. You've seen me on a stage. I don't know. I just stand up for what I believe in. Am I like, oh, let's go do this. Let's go be brave today. I'm going to have some big balls today. No, I just can't help it because I believe what I believe. I know what I know and I love what I love and I don't love what I don't love. And I'm going to say that out loud. So that's it in a nutshell, I guess. What else would you like to know?
I always love hearing your journey and your story, and it's so inspiring. And you just create this like fire and inspiration. At least when I hear you speak in me, and I would imagine a lot of people you speak to. And what I'm hearing and what you're sharing, Kim, is like there's this element of embodiment and really embodying your purpose on this planet. And I feel like, and I'm curious your perspective, when you truly embody your purpose and you actually figure out what the hell your purpose is, and sometimes that comes through being cracked open. I know that's how mine has been, being cracked open in moments of like, oh, this is why I'm on this planet. I feel like bravery and courage is simply just an outcome of that. It's a byproduct of being on purpose. So I'm curious what you see in that, or what you see, because I know you work with other chiropractors and you speak a lot. What do you see in that for people, like being able to connect to that bravery? Because what I'm hearing is like when you're on purpose, you just naturally spontaneously are brave. But people, I think, struggle with like, I gotta be brave, but I don't know how to be brave. And it's like, well, if you were actually connected to your soul purpose, maybe it wouldn't be that hard. I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, as a provider, you can even compare it to like being fresh in practice. What am I going to say when a patient asks me this? What am I going to do when a patient brings this symptom? And you already went to school. And sometimes it takes practice of what to know and what to say. But, if a patient were to ask me fresh in practice, do you think this is going to help me? Well, absolutely. Or I wouldn't have dedicated my life to going to chiropractic school. It's the same kind of thing. You should have a deep enough understanding of yourself and realize that in any moment, like if there's a medical doctor in my room, do I alter the point of what I'm saying? No. Do I use different words? Maybe. But people just don't know where to start. So, like years ago, let's just say 5 years ago, when the world was crazier, I called a bunch of chiropractors to talk about communication because I felt like no one was saying the things inside that I wanted to find a place and raise my hand and say. And there was no place to go do that. So I simply asked them, and they were like, Kim, we don't really say much. So then it got my head thinking, like, how there's no handbook of knowing what to say and what not to say with all that kind of stuff. So, like, in a room with a patient, I am who I am, and I can tell you that I don't choose this, and I don't choose this for my family. I choose chiropractic. This is what we do. Ask me a question about something. Here's my opinion on something. It's the moments of regret, I think, that teach us when we should have said
Mhm.
something else. Like when they leave a room and they're like, well, I think that went well. I guess I didn't really need to say that, but maybe I should have. Da 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 da. Like, I can't really control my face sometimes, Mel. And maybe I have embodiment to a fault, but I can control my words a little better these days. But like if a patient were to say, well, for example, I just got the flu shot and now I feel symptoms of the flu. My face might be like, and then they'll realize how I feel inside because I feel like I'm so authentic that I can't fake it. And that's what it is. You should have
Mm,
a professional nature to your words and your actions in the office, but you shouldn't fake your beliefs and what you know is right to make the world a healthier place and to make the world a better place. If you're not a chiropractor, like whatever your sole purpose is, what you're doing is getting people to the best outcome or you wouldn't be doing it. So stick by what you know.
yeah.
Now, we don't know everything. The more in this life I realize things I don't know, but there are things I have a line in the sand about. And I don't ever want to regret. Sometimes we only get a patient once in our room. I'd like them to come for the next 20
Yeah.
years of their whole life, but sometimes you only get once and you only get one chance. And if you find yourself leaving a patient room and you have the intuition feeling of, I should have said more, or oh, that would have been a good time to say this. And I don't typically bring things up in a patient room, but when you're loud enough on social media, it'll come at you and it'll come at you quite often. And so I like people to know that they can ask me anything, you know? And if you don't
Mm,
necessarily vibe with the answer you give me, maybe you shouldn't have asked me the question. And then again, if you don't vibe with my answer and you'd like to better fit with a different provider, I'm totally okay with that. And I'm totally okay with you going to all the moms groups and saying that Dr. Kim said this and this and this, because I'm going to say the same, this and this and this and this, no matter who's in my room. And then the people that resonate with that will hear that and find me. And sometimes providers are scared to say things out loud because they don't want to turn patients away. But when you see hundreds a week,
yeah.
you don't want to see everyone. You want to raise your prices and see less. So then, if you narrow the target audience, you don't want everybody. You don't need everybody. What you want is the best patient for you, one who resonates with what you believe and what you stand for.
That is so good. So many nuggets in there. And for those of you who are chiropractors or you are in the health space, Dr. Kim's got something that she's planning, some really cool things. If you want to be like, okay, how do I develop my bravery? How do I amplify my bravery more and more and more in practice? Then you're going to want to listen to the end because we have something really special for you. But you said something, Kim, I think that's really important, and that's the regret. And I think the regret and then the second guessing yourself. What are some other feedback loops you would say if someone for them to understand, like, maybe I'm not being my full authentic self right now. Maybe I'm not actually being brave. What would be some things that someone could actually like pay attention to and self-reflect that would give them that feedback loop saying, "Oh, you know what? I kinda held back there." Like, what are some things you see in the clients you
Mhm.
work with where they're maybe struggling with bravery that give them those
Mhm.
feedback loops?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the lens in which you see your patients too. Like, if I have an older patient, I can't
Mhm.
help but see him as a parent or a grandparent. And if I have a younger patient, I can't help but see him as my kids. I mean, I really meant that in my bio when you read, I take care of each patient like they were my own child. Like, this is what I choose for me and my
Mm,
family. Here's a little birdie on my table. Why wouldn't I do the same? So if I'm telling my kid, sit up
mm,
when you hold that phone, little kid, or when I tell my kid, eat your vegetables or go to bed early, or we're going to say no thank you to that, it's the same thing that I would tell my patients because you should believe in it so much. Obviously, if you're doing it for your friends and your family, So if it doesn't align with something that you'd tell a family member, think about why. And if you don't know how to articulate it, I would love to help you. Like, for example, I'm not a medical doctor. I don't want to be a medical doctor. Sorry if there's medical doctors out there. I have a brother who's an orthopedic surgeon. Thank you. We love you. However, I don't want to be a medical doctor. I chose chiropractic because there's no lotions, no potions, no pills, no knives, no needles. I don't enjoy that stuff. Okay. No, thank you. I am a chiropractor, and I know that about myself. But no matter who's in my room, I need to be able to fully be that and fully know the power of a chiropractic adjustment. So I'm not going to sit there and say anything that a medical doctor would say because I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not going to say, for example, Mel, throw your bottle of pills away after you go on my full treatment plan and your life has changed so much that you go back to the medical doctor and you realize you don't need them anymore. I'm not going to say throw them away, but I'm going to hope that my adjustment makes you so much better that you go back to your medical doctor and you realize you don't need them because we made you so much better. Okay. I'm not going to tell a patient, don't go get said medical procedure because I'm not a medical doctor. But when they bring it up, what I'm going to say is, I never did that. My kids never do that. There's no way in heck we would do that. And here's the reasons why. And that's what it is. I am a human. We are humans, step one. If you're a parent, you're a parent, step two. You can use your personal life in practice. It helps patients trust you more. Now, don't tell them everything about your personal life. Obviously, you need to have some sort of professional face on. But to be truly authentic, you're still a human in there. And so you can say what you choose or don't choose. You can talk about your lifestyle because it's yours. And why wouldn't you want your patients to be doing exactly what you're doing? Because that's obviously what you think is the best way to be healthy.
Yeah. Preach, girl. I love it. I love it. You mentioned something too when I know we were connecting about having you on the show, and I think this brings up a good point. Like, the more brave you become, you're gonna maybe have some haters in your life.
Mm, mm,
And I am those of you who don't follow Dr. Kim, I'll make sure that we put her information in the show notes. Definitely follow her on social media. You can learn a lot, not just from a patient perspective, but also if you are a chiropractor, you can learn from her. And something I know that you like to talk about is how do you navigate the haters, not just on social media, but when you are brave and you are authentic, you are going to
mhm,
create some energy in the universe in which people don't agree with you, right? And so
mhm,
I'm curious what strategies or tips or wisdom you have, because that's the biggest thing I see with new chiropractors and new entrepreneurs is they're so afraid of getting rejected. They're so afraid of
mhm,
pissing someone off. You're
mhm,
trying to like have everyone like you, but no one actually loves you and no one actually knows you. And then that leads to resentment when you're trying to please everyone, which I 100% agree with you. You're not meant to serve 10 billion people on the planet. You're meant to
mhm,
serve the people that you are meant to serve in your unique style
mhm,
and your God-given
mhm.
gift. So I'm curious,
Yeah.
what wisdom do you have, perhaps your own stories of navigating haters, your own stories of like working through rejection online or in practice? Tell us more
Yeah.
about that.
Like now, at this point, 16 years into practice, it's almost like I have no more fucks to give, Mel. But like if you would have asked me fresh, yeah, I'm sorry to just be so blunt about it. My brothers went to college and played college football. Okay,
I
I have a potty mouth because I grew up with them, whatever. Okay, so like in the
No,
beginning
you
of
can swear.
practice,
You can swear.
thank you. In the beginning of practice, I would put videos out on social media. So you're talking like 2010, 2011, okay? And simple ones of like, your baby should be adjusted, for example. When you start to get loud, you start simple, and that was my simple. So there's a lot that goes with adjusting a baby, and there's a level of bravery you need. It's a little different than an adult. It's a baby. Okay. Anyway, I put that out there on social media, and then I would get messages like, you're not a real doctor. Okay, my thing's on the wall in a frame. And then it'd be like, you're going to kill babies. I don't think so. Or things like, how dare you post what we do? You're not supposed to post the adjustment. And it's like, okay. I felt like I wanted more babies in the world to go to the chiropractor. How do you show people that babies need to go to the chiropractor? You show a baby at a chiropractor on a video. So that's what I did. And the louder I got, the more the haters came out. So if you don't have any haters, you're not loud enough, is the point of that, right? But I think haters are good for business, is the conclusion I've made. So, like, then I started talking about how we don't vaccinate I'm not a fan. We don't mask. I'm not a fan. We don't really take medicine. That's what it is. And I got really loud about that. And the haters came out even more than that. But at first it would cause an emotion inside of me of, almost like a pause or a hesitation of oh, maybe they're right. And so then their words would replay in my head and I'd have to tell myself probably tenfold, to squash the negative of, I am a doctor. I'm not going to hurt babies. This is great. La da da. And then with time, it just got easier. So I would read it, replay it in my head in the beginning, delete and block, go about my day. When it happened again, it would sting a little less, time helps that. But it really is good for business because even if a hater comments, it boosts my algorithm a little. So maybe I wait just a hair to delete and block them. Like my grandpa, who is in real estate, used to say, it doesn't matter if they're talking good or bad about you, they're talking about you, and that's marketing. And he's right. So in my small community in person, there's also haters. I used to work in another chiropractic office and then I moved downtown. I don't take insurance. That caused haters. I raised my prices. That caused haters. It's a smaller town. There's 25,000. So there's a lot of buzz. There was a lot of buzz about it. And then when the pandemic came around, I was the one without a mask. I wore a beard hairnet with my red lipstick when I went out, because that's how I am. And I got to be known as the crazy chiropractor in my small town who doesn't believe in any of that stuff. And that is a hat I will wear, and I went so far with it as there was a mask mandate and I never put one on. And I really wanted the $25 fine to go to the courthouse and argue the Constitution of the United States and see patients everywhere at the courthouse, of course. And I didn't get that opportunity, but I walk the walk, Mel, and I also think I talk the talk. I can't help it. It's in my blood, and so when you're known as that online and when you're known as that in person, if some people are attracted to that like a magnet, come on in. If some people are repelled by that by a magnet, they're still going to go talk about it and other magnets will find you. So the full 16 years, full circle type of it, people will come up to me that I don't know when they're like, well, what do you do if a family member says this when they realize you choose different than them? And sometimes when I have no filter, I'll just be like, fuck them. Do you know what you're doing is the best choice you want to make? Fuck them. But then, we break it down and we have to get to that point. But what I'm trying to say is when you're solid enough in your beliefs, the thoughts and choices and story in your own head is 100 times louder than anything a hater could say. But when you first start to get loud online or in person and the haters come out, that's the hardest part to get over the hump.
Yeah, I agree. I remember when I started posting more YouTube videos, I made this whole 10-minute video of the immune system and chiropractic, and it got flagged and taken down. And when you're a little fresh baby chiropractor, you're just like, and I
Uh-huh.
agree. I think it's like, don't take it personally, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Two, I think it allows you to go deeper into your standards and your beliefs and what you truly value, and it's a test from the universe, right? Like how confident and embodied are you in what it is that you speak about, what you say, how you
Yeah.
walk through this life. And so I'm hearing like there's a level of one, don't take it personally. Two, it's not going to go away. It's going to keep
Right.
happening. So
Right.
I like to say like make rejection your kink and say like, this is weird, but I'll say, imagine as though you're a dominatrix and you're wearing like leather and you're
Yes,
like,
girl.
yeah, let's go. Like this is gonna happen. People aren't gonna maybe like what I have to say, and I'm just gonna be like, it's just like a weird thing. But I think even that visual can allow the hits, so to speak, from the public, from the culture to feel a little less intense, and you can just keep walking through life and not feeling like you're bracing for impact all the time. You're just like, okay, like you don't agree with me. That's fine. We're not meant to live in silos. We're not meant to agree with everyone. That is the beauty of the universe is we have different, beliefs and opinions. Even in chiropractic, we have different thoughts around different techniques. And like that's what helps us grow. So I always appreciate hearing your come up in bravery and courage and how you are such that embodiment, and it is such in your blood, and it's such, like I said, an inspiration to people to like really own that in their own frame of mind, and in their own
Mhm.
body, right? So
Yeah,
thank
like
you
I
for
have a
sharing
big
that.
smile when maybe in my pocket there's a middle finger they can't see. You know, it's like, oh, well, you can have a great day. And that's not really what I mean to say, but my tone
Right.
implies that but still, I want them to have a great day. But
Yep.
you just got to let
Yep.
it roll off your shoulder. But learning how to do that is the trick.
Yeah, and it takes
Mhm.
practice, and I
Yeah.
agree, I think the longer you're in practice, the less it really hits you emotionally. I mean, I'm almost 10 years in, and I get comments on YouTube all the time of, "You're a quack, you sell
Mm.
snake oil, this is bullshit," and I just kinda laugh now, whereas before it was like, "Oh my gosh, my practice is gonna fail,
Mm.
yeah," right? And you're
Mhm.
just like, "Oh my gosh, no one died. In fact, I got more referrals. In fact, numbers went up, interesting." And,
Okay.
if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing. So you
Yes,
gotta
ma'am.
stand for something, right?
Yes.
I think we need more people really standing for something on this planet, especially in
Mm.
the evolution of technology. No one knows what's real anymore,
Yeah.
and we've got to stand for humanity. So anything more you wanna add on that?
Yeah, I mean, for the chiropractors out there, back in the day, there were people that went to jail for practicing without a license when they believed that chiropractic was that important. And so sometimes on a stage or at a school, I'll say things like, if BJ Palmer was here today, and he realized that the government had said, shut your doors, and y'all did that. Would BJ have said things like, oh, that's totally the best way to keep people healthy? Good choice. Or do you think he may not have agreed with shutting your doors in order to keep people healthy? And so, if you're really sound in your philosophy, there's a quote by him, within the law, without the law, and sickness and in health to keep the sick people, get the sick people healthy and keep the well from getting sick. I mean, without the law is in that quote. And I didn't see any chiropractors getting in trouble. Now, I was given the essential worker hat, so I never had to close, but I was ready. I was ready. There's no way I was going to close. I mean, when I have the sniffles or a tiny scratch in my throat, I call the chiropractor because it really
Yeah.
does make a difference. And so I really want more people standing up because whether it's the 1918 Spanish flu or the 2020 schmovid or whatever you want to call it will happen again. You know it will. And I don't want to feel like a leper or like an outcast for walking around with my red lipstick when everyone else has a mask on, for example. Or I'm the only chiropractor open not wearing rubber gloves because I like to feel things because it's chiropractic. I'd really like there to be
Mm,
some more balls in the profession and in humanity in general to stand up for what we believe in because what's popular is not always right and what's right is not always popular. And unless you know you're not standing alone, it's harder to be as loud as we should be.
100%. Yeah,
Hmm.
it can feel very isolating. I think the bravery, courageous journey can be isolating, and that's why I'm so grateful
Hmm.
for the event that you're hosting at the end of 2026, depending on when you're listening to this. And I wanna
Yeah.
speak to some and highlight before we talk about your amazing events and workshops you have coming up. Um, I think now, when you're listening to this, we are recording this in 2026. I think it's what a time to be alive and speak the truth. Like,
No
honestly,
kidding.
there is so there is so much dismantling of what we thought was true and what isn't true. And, a lot of the truth is now being exposed that a lot of us have known for a long time. And I'm not going to go into that in this podcast, but even the truth about health and well being and physiology. I mean, the laws of physiology, that's what chiropractic lives by, the laws of anatomy and how the body heals. And so much
Mhm.
more is being exposed. And what a time for you chiropractors listening. What a time for you to speak into that truth and be the light in your community and be the truth speaker and the truth embodier and be brave and actually speak what we have known this entire time. Like, what a
Mhm.
beautiful opportunity for you. Seriously. And you're not alone in that, right? That's why I wanted to bring on Dr. Kim, because she doesn't bullshit and she tells it how it is. And perhaps this will inspire you to be like, where am I hiding? Where am I
Yeah.
playing nice? Where am I maybe hiding behind things because I'm afraid of what people are gonna say? Especially for you new chiropractors, like, where can you shed some of those layers and really be authentically you? Because let me tell you, when you can do that, and Kim, I'm sure you would agree, it is so liberating to be yourself and not skirt around things and just, it's so freaking liberating. And that's, I think, really important for our health too. Because if we're hiding, we're going to put on all these layers and create all these distortions in our body. It's like, just be you. Like, being you and authentic is really the trend that I hope takes flight in 2026. So for
Yeah,
what
me
that's
too.
worth.
Me too. So let's make an event and call it the Brave Practice and put it at the beach of Florida. My 10-year-old would say 6, 7. It drives me crazy, but the event is November 6, 7. I know, it just worked out that way. At the beach, and we have some big dogs. My other hostesses are Jenna Davis from Canada and Ara Tovar from Miami. And you're speaking there, Mel. I'm so excited. We also got Billy D and Peter Kevorkian and Roberto Monaco. We got some big deal people coming. I'm so excited. It's going to be all day Friday and all day Saturday. We want you to stand up, step in, and scale. In exactly the way in which you want to. Whatever you stand for, whatever you believe in, we will give you the tools and tricks to say that out loud a little louder and a little more authentically so that you don't have to think about it so much, and become a magnet for your tribe for them to find you. So I also created a mini course, Mel. I'm so excited to launch. Okay, so last week I got a little sinus thing. I don't know if you can hear it. My system's getting upgraded, but I chose,
You
of
sound
course,
great.
to thank you. But I chose to do a photo shoot in 19-degree Nebraska weather with a lovely airplane. You might have seen it. And it was so fun and it was so cold. But then my sinuses started talking. I did get adjusted 3 times. Okay, I'm going. But anyway, the photo shoot was for the launch of these mini courses. And I'm so excited because you have to have some sort of foundation to get to the next level of wham, here I am, you know? And so if you think about that event as an in person, I'd like people to already have a foundation of something. So we're going to talk about communication, marketing as being the boss, as being the CEO, you know? And I'm just really excited to go from big deal, are you brave in practice, to answers to specific questions and to pondering this to realize what you would say if and when you are confronted with that kind of thing and, talking the talk and walking the walk. So that's what I've got.
So exciting. We will make sure that we get those links from Dr. Kim, both to her mini course and those foundations so that you can feel super brave stepping into November, and then also her event coming up November 6th, 7. You're not going to forget that. Like
I know,
6,
I
7.
know.
So that's this year, y'all, 2026. It's in
Yeah.
Fort Lauderdale, right?
Fort
Fort
Lauderdale
Lauderdale?
at the Westin on the beach.
I mean,
Yeah.
listen, y'all, her and I are both from the Midwest. You're from the Midwest, right?
I'm from Nebraska, yeah. And I hear it in you and you're northern and you're like soul. I can hear it.
Yeah, you're gonna hear that all when I'm on stage, but I'm born and
Yeah.
raised in Minnesota. She's born
Yeah.
and raised in Nebraska. So, y'all,
Yeah.
literally, I want to speak to this because this is really important. One of the best things that I've done for myself as a practitioner, as a chiropractor, is go put yourself in rooms with people who are living the life and walking the talk that you desire to step into for yourself, even if it's fucking scary. Okay? Put yourself around giants and you become the giant. And
Yeah.
not for nothing, it's Florida. So you
Yeah.
Midwest homies, come down because November is getting cold, right? And
Mhm.
that is such a way to reinvigorate your system, to like get immersed in the elements. I mean, it's on the beach, right? Isn't the hotel on the beach?
Yeah, we have an oceanside ballroom, darling. I'm so excited.
How can you all say no to this? Like,
Yeah.
this is gonna be epic. I'm so excited. I am coming, my husband is coming, and we're gonna have so much fun. I'm inviting my community, so we want you all to be there. Like I said, and like Dr. Kim said, I'm gonna be speaking about the elements of building a brave practice and how to become courageous, how to become the courageous leader in your community. And this is not we are going to be talking chiropractic, but I love that Dr. Kim is also bringing in business and people to talk about business. And like I said, she's bringing some big names in the industry. So you are not going to want to miss it. And make sure that you check out her mini course series to do some really good prep work. Anything
Yes.
else, Kim, you want to add?
Well, I spoke at Life West in Omaha. We now have a chiropractic school in Nebraska, which is pretty exciting. And we talked about when you brush your teeth in the morning, and it seems a little weird. And one sporty looking guy in the back laughed at me. But in the morning, when you brush your teeth, if you're awake enough to have conscious thought, the thoughts you think really matter and they can set the tone for your day. And no one's coming to save you. You got to do it for yourself and you need to be your own cheerleader. So, it's a little weird, but sometimes in the morning when I'm awake enough, I'll say things like, all right, Monday, here we fucking go. I am put on this earth to slay some subluxation. We're going to make it the best day we can. Here we go. And it's that little bit of up a level or confidence or posture shift or whatever happens to you that no one else can do for you. And if you believe yourself enough, it'll come true. And I feel like that's missing in some people because we shouldn't, as providers, no matter what kind of healthcare you're in, we shouldn't be going to work. We should be going to change the fucking world. So if you don't get pumped up about that, maybe start trying to do that when you brush your teeth in the morning.
I love that. I know you've shared that in some of your signature talks, and I think about that now when I look in the mirror. I'm like, and I don't know, I'd never feel like I'm going to work. I literally at times will have tears of gratitude driving to my office, having the days I'm coaching. I'm like, this is a life that I created and it's so freaking inspiring. And I know Kim and I share this sentiment. Like, we want that for you. We want that for you. So come take her course, work with her, come to the Brave practice. It's going to be epic. Put yourself in rooms and you become that giant. You are your best asset, y'all. So any final wisdom as we wrap up, my friend?
Oh, I think that hit it. That was pretty good. I'm excited to
That's
see
great.
you. Hope to see you before November, maybe somewhere.
Yeah. Are you going to Mile High?
Yeah. Of course I'm going to Mile High. Are you?
Yeah, I'll be
Oh,
there.
yeah. The husband chauffeurs me the 7 hours in the car, so I go.
Oh, that's nice that you can drive there. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, my friends. Well, thank you for tuning in. Go check out this firehouse, this amazing, brave woman. I'm so grateful for you, Kim. Thank you for doing the work that you do for humanity in this profession. Like I said, go check out the links in the show notes. Come to the Brave Practice, check out her course, and we will see you all in the next episode. Peace.
Thank you for joining the Project Lioness podcast. Did you find value in today's episode? Help us impact the lives of others by sharing this podcast with someone you know who would resonate and benefit from the Project Lioness message. Excited to hear more? We invite you to subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And we'd be so grateful for you to leave us a review about what you enjoy most, as well as what you'd like to hear more of. Thank you so much for all of your support. Sincerely yours in power, purpose, and play. Dr. Mel with the Project Lioness podcast. Keep rising, keep roaring, and keep inspiring.